What's going on, Detroit Lions fans? Welcome back, Detroit Den 313 with Steve. I'm going to talk about a move that the Detroit Lions made earlier today, and I'm sorry I couldn't get to it sooner. Wife was making me do chores. I have to say that quietly because she's just in the other room, and I don't really feel like getting beat up on stream. So she was making me do chores. I was a little surprised at this move, and not in a bad way, in a good way. The Detroit Lions signed Allan Robinson II, a name we should be familiar with if you're not from the state of Michigan. Born and raised in Detroit, unfortunately went to Penn State University and not the University of Michigan or even Michigan State. As long as you stay home, I'm okay with that. But Penn State, I'll cut you some slack this one time. But when I look at Allan Robinson, I feel like obviously I'm trying to be nice here and professional. I think his best years are behind him, but I do think he can bring some good stuff to this team. Before the season started, and if we go all the way back to like draft day or before the draft, I guess, and we were all talking about how the Lions needed a big body X receiver, and we didn't have that. So draft day comes, a lot of us, myself included, were high on a Xavier Leggett, maybe a Xavier Worthy, a Donnie Mitchell. Lions didn't even draft a wide receiver. Brought in Isaiah Williams. I like that move. Really, I'm a big fan of Isaiah Williams. I think he's going to be great. But when we talk about the X position, it was kind of up in the air. Up until literally just yesterday when we signed Tim Patrick, who I already talked about. And I guess I'll just kind of talk about Tim Patrick too. So I guess I'll just kind of mix this into one episode. But mostly I'm going to try to focus on Allan Robinson. I really like Tim Patrick's game. When he's healthy, he's a good, solid, dependable X receiver. He's a good big body, can make plays downfield, attack the football. He does a lot of great things. My only concern that I've ever had with him is that he hasn't played football in 2 seasons. That's really my only concern when I'm talking about Tim Patrick is the best ability is availability. If he's available, he's going to be great. If he's not, I understand that this is a high risk or a high reward, low risk situation. The Detroit Lions aren't really going to lose anything. I mean, I like Tim Patrick. Stay healthy. I know he had the ACL and the Achilles injuries the last 2 years. So I like that move. And then I think with signing Allan Robinson, what Brad Holmes did was say, I need a contingency plan. I need a backup to my X receiver. I don't really have anyone else who can play that exact position, the physical way that Tim Patrick can. I'm going to sign an Allan Robinson. Allan Robinson, I was calling for the Lions to sign him. I think it was 2 seasons ago. Yes, I think it was after he left Chicago. I really wanted the Lions to get him. I just thought with where the Lions were kind of in a rebuild, if you want to call it that, at the time, I guess it was a rebuild. But when he left Chicago, I was like, I think this would be a kid we could probably bring home. He's from Detroit. Why not get him in here and get us a little help? His best seasons, he had a really good year. His second year with Jacksonville, looking at his stats, 16 games played, 80 catches, 1,400 yards, 14 touchdowns. Like that's an Amon-Ra St. Immediately just reading that, it reminds me of the season Amon-Ra St. Brown just had. And then in 2019 and 2020, he went over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns and 6. So it looks like his best season was in 2015. But what I have to do is when I talk a receiver, I have to look at who's throwing them the football. So at the back end of his career, we kind of had Justin Fields, not really a dominant passer per se. And then 2022, the Rams, Stafford, he was banged up. They were kind of shuffling some stuff around. And then last year with Pittsburgh, Kenny Pickett. So looking at his 2023 stat line, 17 games played. So he played in every game for the Steelers, only had 34 catches, 280 yards, no touchdowns. I'll give it a break because Kenny Pickett was the quarterback for the Steelers. He's not an elite passer. Let's try to be nice. I'm trying to think on my toes there. I really try not to bash NFL players unless I'm in my feels, but I don't think Kenny Pickett was a good quarterback. So when has Allan Robinson really had a phenomenal quarterback play? I mean, if we're going to 2017, we're still talking like Blake Bortles back then, I believe. Trevor Lawrence definitely wasn't there. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head who the quarterback was for the 16 and 17 Jaguars. Only name that's really coming to my mind is Blake Bortles. If I'm wrong, leave it in the comments. Just off the top of my head, I can't think about it. If I'm mistaken on that, but what Allan Robinson's going to bring to this team, and he's assigned to the practice squad. Let me make that clear. Is he can get called up if someone gets injured. So from where our wide receiver room started, or it was just 4 days ago when we only had Amon St. Brown, J-Mo, Khalif Raymond, and Isaiah Williams, and we said, oh, we only have 4 receivers. Something's up. All right, we added Tim Patrick. We add Allan Robinson. So now the 6 guys we have, I have a lot more confidence now than I did before training camp started. The X position, the wide receiver room, was kind of, in my opinion, what I was looking at is, I don't want to say a weakness, but I felt like we didn't have good contingency plans for the wide receiver room if something were to happen. And I feel like we cleared that up. Now, I don't ever want to see injuries happen, but if something were to go down and St. B has to miss a game or two, I think we have weapons in place. And that might not be in just the receiver room. We could talk about a Sam Laporta, our running game, J-Mo picking up some slack, Tim Patrick, Allan Robinson. These are guys that I have confidence in. Again, when I look at Robinson and Tim Patrick, even together, I don't feel like they move the needle for me at all, but they do give me a little comfort knowing that we have some depth. We have some experience. We have some guys who can make some plays. I'm excited to see how they kind of mesh in practice. We don't really have long to get either one of them kind of geared up and game ready. So I don't know how much we'll see of them from the Rams. And what do we got, about 10 and a half days, 11 days, something like that. So the season's quickly approaching. I don't know how fast Allan Robinson and Tim Patrick will be ready day one, but once we start getting into like maybe week 3, 4, I know we have a bye week 5, maybe around that time somewhere in there after the bye week, we might be seeing, especially Tim Patrick. Robinson being on the practice squad, we won't really see him unless someone gets banged up, which we don't want to see, or if they decide to sit someone and activate Allan Robinson, which could happen. But I don't know. I'm not really counting on seeing Allan Robinson too much without an injury. So I like the signing. There's really no risk. It's all reward for the Detroit Lions. That's how I feel. Nothing to lose, everything to gain. Leave it in the comments, guys. Let me know how you feel about this signing. Bringing a local kid home. I like it. Leave some comments, hit that like button. I'll be back later with another show.